What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another brand new video here today. We're back once again for F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. Been a couple of days since we've actually been here, but anyway, we're back for round number 9, the Canadian Grand Prix. Coming into this one, I actually had high expectations, even though this is a power track. I've always fared pretty well around Canada. It's a track which I've always liked, and it's so rewarding when you get it right, particularly that final chicane. Not so rewarding when you get it wrong, but anyway, hopefully we can avoid throwing it in the wall of champions today, as I definitely don't think we'll be fighting for the championship come the end of the season. Maybe towards the end of season 2, season 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 27, who knows? But anyway, as I say that, we go clean into the wall, so yep, perfect way to start off FP1. But anyway, a couple of things I want to say just before we delve into qualifying and whatever else. Once again, just massive thank you for all the support, not just on this series, but on the channel in general. Greatly appreciated. Almost at 250 subs now. I think it's 231, 232 or something like that at the time of me recording this, which is a lot more than what I expected. I have to be brutally honest. So yeah, just huge thank you to everybody who has, and yeah, hopefully that number can keep on rising. But anyway, the end of FP1, we end up finishing in 4th position, the only one on the soft tyre. So once again, really not a true indication of where we stand. Resource points, we're looking pretty sharp in that department. We've got nearly 1500 there, so that's looking pretty good. Combined team acclaim, we now head up to level 9, so that's quite nice. But off to qualifying now. If you haven't seen the last episode, we defeated Kimi Räikkönen in the rivalry, so I think either after qualifying or after this race, we will have to choose a new rival. So it'll be interesting to see who our options might be. I'm guessing probably the Alfa Romeos and probably the 2 AlphaTauris maybe. Could be wrong. But anyway, we're here for qualifying now. First lap of the session wasn't great, as you can see, fling it through the final chicane. That feels so rewarding on this year's game when you get it right. Come across the line for our first lap of the session, only P7 in between Kevin Magnussen and Latifi, so not a great opening run there. I say not a great opening run, I mean it's a 109.4. Compared to what we've done on the older F1 games, that lap time's bloody mental. But we can still go quite a bit faster. So that's what we're going to try and do on our final qualifying run now. Made a small change back in the garage as well, mainly to the brake bias. As you can see, we're now just running 50. I was running 52 or something on that first lap. Locked up massively into the hairpin, so that's where I'm expecting to gain quite a bit of time, assuming that we don't do it again. But so far so good. We're about 3/10 up now as we come onto the back straight. Run through the first sector was actually very, very nice, and hopefully we can continue that now. Under the bridge, flick it right, then left, high speed, still about 2/10 up. We've actually lost about 200ths there, so we'll have to try and make up a bit of time. Down here into the hairpin again, massive lockup on the right front there, really not helping us. And as you can see, we were about 3.5 up, but now, because we were slow on the exit, we're now basically back to around 2.5 up, so we're going to have to fly through this final chicane here. Here we go, flick it in, hope for the best. We don't hit the wall, don't invalidate. Very nicely done. Across the line, an improvement of almost half a second to go P14 provisionally. I was a little bit excited by that at the time, but do we make it through? Yes we do, P15. How about that, boys? We are through to qualifying 2 at the Canadian Grand Prix. Mick Schumacher down in P18 again. The big talking point, Sergio Perez, last on the grid for Racing Point. They will not be happy with that. I don't know what happened to to Sergio there, but man, that is really not a good lap from the Mexican. But anyway, we'll cut on to Q2 now, and from what was looking like a bright and beautiful day here at Canada has all of a sudden turned extremely sour, and it is now pouring with rain, so we're on the intermediate tyres. We went out for our very first lap right at the start of the session, put us P4, but at the end of the session we get the motor down to P7. Now as you can see, I decided to go out again just to see if we could try and better it, but it actually started to rain heavier and heavier, so the conditions actually got worse and worse, and nobody actually improved. So well, it's there on your screen. I can't believe I'm actually going to say this, but we are through to the final part of qualifying. We are through to Q3 here at Canada. My God, this is absolutely amazing stuff. Kevin Magnussen, Pierre Gasly, Danny Kvyat, Kimi Raikkonen, Lando Norris and Max Verstappen are eliminated here in Q2. Big talking point there has got to be Max Verstappen. I've no idea what's happened to him there, but he will be starting down in P11 for this Grand Prix. But here we go now on to Q3 for our one and only lap of the session. Down to turn 1, brake as late as we dare. Everything was a lot more tentative on this lap, I must say, because the car was fully set up to be a pretty speedy dry race car. As you can see, just struggling for traction there, almost invalidated on that right hander. Very easy to do. We got away with it that time, slipping and sliding all the way through to the end of the first sector, and we actually go purple, 3/10 up on Lance Stroll, currently sitting in P6. So we are purple sector 1 here, guys. This is we're actually looking very good in these wet conditions. A little bit of understeer through that right hander there, compromised the line ever so slightly. Still a good lap. 4/10 up now on Daniel Ricciardo, who is now in P6. We get it stopped nicely for the hairpin, tucked into the apex, short shift all the way up through 2nd, 3rd, 4th, even up to 5th, and now the long run down to the final chicane, and this is going to be very, very close. Could we potentially threaten the top 5? I can't believe I'm saying that. Through the final chicane, we turned in a bit too late there. That was not the best run, struggling for grip on the exit. We crossed the line to do a 1:19.8, and we go P4 provisionally. Only 800ths off Lewis Hamilton, I think it was. But come the end of the session, I think we may have got knocked down a little bit. But let's see where we end up. It is P8 on the grid. Alright, so that's... I might sound like a little bit deflated or something being knocked down, but that is still a bloody impressive qualifying there to make it into Q3 and to be starting 8th on the grid for the Canadian Grand Prix in essentially the second worst car on the grid. That's pretty damn cool. I think the team would have to be very happy with that. You can be damn sure I am.
The fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy. Who would you say is your biggest rival at the moment?
Alright, so here we go. We've got a choice of a new rival. Esteban Ocon, Daniel Ricciardo, Lando Norris or Pierre Gasly. I think I'm going to go with Pierre Gasly, as I think that's around about where we stand.
Are you happy with where you'll be on the grid tomorrow?
Am I happy with where I'll be on the grid tomorrow? Claire, were you even watching? We're starting 8th on the bloody grid. I am over the moon with this starting position.
Appreciate your time.
Alright, I think we can call that a successful qualifying. We should be in with a good chance in the race.
We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to a variant of this track back in 1978. It was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. It's one of the fastest races of the season here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 60% of this 2.7-mile circuit taken at full throttle. There are 14 corners to navigate, the very last of which has its very own infamous history. could be the cause of a safety car today. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Why don't we discuss McLaren? What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The fence starts from pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Vettel, Carlos Sainz, and Stroll, Lee, Ricciardo, Albon, and Max Verstappen. Norris, Raikkonen, Daniel Kvyat, and Gasly, Magnussen, Giovinazzi, Mick Schumacher, and Roman Grosjean. Russell, Ocon, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Latifi and Sergio Perez completes our grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Alrighty, welcome guys to the grid of the Canadian Grand Prix. We've been elevated up one position to P7 due to Alex Albon with a grid penalty. Interesting story behind that actually. He ended up with a 5-place grid penalty in FP1 for, I think it was actually colliding with somebody. I'm not too sure who it was or what exactly happened. But yeah, he ended up with a 5-place grid penalty for one reason or another, which means he's starting behind us. Mick Schumacher elevated up to P17 as well, as I think it was Esteban Ocon had a grid penalty, so the Renault will have a fairly long day ahead of him. But for us, this is something a bit different. We've really only got the top 3 big guys ahead, and yeah, we're essentially right in this fight for best of the rest here today, with Racing Point and McLaren just ahead of us. We've got Danny Rick right behind us. You've got Alex Albon right there as well. So we're going to have to watch out, and then Max Verstappen as well right there. So the 2 Red Bulls undoubtedly will be coming through the field like a bat out of hell, aiming to get back up to the front. But we've put ourselves in a very good starting position here, starting on the mediums as well, trying the alternate strategy. So hopefully this may vault us up the order a little bit. It's going to be a bit tricky, but we'll wait and see what happens.
Keep an eye on the lights. The start sequence will begin as soon as the grid has formed. Be ready with the clutch.
We are ready and set to roll, Jeffrey. Don't you worry about that. Waiting for the last few AI to reform. Probably the Williams and Perez. There we go. Alright. 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And away we go for the Canadian Grand Prix. Once again, the lights held for absolutely ever. Looks like an average start, it must be said. Probably a good start when you think about it, considering we're on a harder tyre. But we get through turn 1 okay. Now turn 2, we're going to look around the outside of Lance Stroll. Probably a bit pointless there, as there was really no chance we were going to make a move around the outside of a Racing Point on soft tyres nonetheless, whilst we're on mediums. So that probably backfired a little bit. But we maintain P7 at least for the moment with Daniel Ricciardo, Max Verstappen right up our gearbox there. Danny Rick with a little bit of a run on the back straight here. Willie look for a move. We get a tag in the left rear there. Ricciardo almost sends us into the fence. We have to take to the escape road there to make sure we don't end up drilling the fence and putting Ricciardo probably out of the Grand Prix as well as ourselves. That is now demoted us to P9. Alex Albon all over us now. Let's go and have a look at this from Daniel Ricciardo's point of view. Danny, what was that, man? That was a real stupid move, to be honest. I don't know what he was doing there. He could have took himself and us out. Luckily, we avoided disaster. As I say, we avoided disaster. We almost completely rear-end Max Verstappen on the following lap in the hairpin there. So we've avoided disaster twice in the space of 2 laps now. Let's have a look at this from the onboard of Alex Albon down into the hairpin as he sees a bright orange spiker nearly rear-end his teammate. And we avoid an absolute calamity there. So now we can start to try and settle into a little bit of a rhythm. On the lap 4 now, that's exactly what we've done. Ricciardo's still holding down P7 over Max Verstappen. Alex Albon, however, on lap 4, down into the hairpin, makes the move on us. Didn't really try and fight that, to be honest, as I felt like he was actually quicker. And at this point I actually felt like, you know what, if Albon could maybe start to pull away, if I could stick with within the DRS, then it might enable me to pull away from the guys behind. But onto lap 8, Albon makes the move on Ricciardo down into turn 1, and we follow suit around the outside of turn 2. Very nicely done. That's up to P9 now for us, or back up to P9 I should say. Onto lap 8, we have yellow flags. Carlos Sainz has retired from the Canadian Grand Prix. The McLaren has had some type of failure, has he? Down into the hairpin, let's just see. No smoke. And he just comes out of the hairpin and just doesn't go anywhere. So, I don't know, maybe a hydraulic gearbox problem maybe for Carlos Sainz. A real shame, as he was definitely on for maybe a P5 in this race. But anyway, getting back to our race, on to lap 11. All of the AI are now making their first pit stop in this race, and we now lead the Canadian Grand Prix. How awesome is this? We lead a Formula 1 race. Unfortunately, it doesn't last for too long, as look at the straight line speed of Valtteri Bottas there. He just absolutely blows past us there. Nothing we could do, even if I wanted to. And, well, that was the lead was short-lived. Let's just say that. On to lap 12, once again, the second Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton now goes by. Didn't put up too much of a fight there again. We're not racing these guys, so there's no real point in. Our fight is with the likes of Stroll, maybe the Red Bulls, and, you know, our fight's for like P6, P7 effectively, so didn't want to lose a lot of time fighting these guys, but I was getting a bit lucky because every time I got overtaken, I was still within a second at the detection line. So I was actually getting DRS along this back straight here, basically every time somebody passed me. We're cutting on to, what's this, lap 16 now. Max Verstappen is now right up our backside, and Max has already made one stop in this race, so that's a little bit disheartening, I must be honest, as I felt like Max was actually who we were fighting, but we've still got to go like an extra 5-6 laps on these medium tyres, and these are really not feeling the best right now, to be honest with you guys. On to lap 20, here comes Lance Stroll now in the racing point. The home hero goes down the outside into the hairpin, but we fight back up the inside, not wanting to give the spot up, but he gets the switch back on us, and Stroll takes P6 off of us. But now, the long run down the back straight, Stroll does have DRS, but we've got the slipstream reach and overtake. We've got to watch out for Albon in the background as well. He thinks about a move up the inside, but changes his mind at the last minute as he darts into the pit lane. Well, that could have ended very badly if we weren't careful. We're cutting on to the end of lap 22. Now we're coming in for our one and only stop of the Grand Prix. These mediums were absolutely shot. You can see the rear tyre wear there, 71% on the left rear. The fronts were actually okay. Front tyre wear was not that bad, but it was the rears that were horrible. Pretty good stop there from the boys, 2.2 seconds. Teammate in the pits as well, so Mick Schumacher. Yeah, you definitely picked a good time to come in there. But anyway, re-emerging back on track, and it looks like we're going to be in position number 8 with about 3 seconds to Sergio Perez, and we've got about, what is that, 3.3 seconds to Lance Stroll, and about 6 seconds to Alex Albon. So we get the hammer down now to try and close the gap to these guys, but this is where things started to kind of go downhill for us. After literally 2 laps on the softs, we actually really struggled, and Stroll and Albon actually started to pull away. So the soft really was not a good race tyre in the end. Yeah, I don't really know what it was. The tyre wear's okay, but yeah, the pace just dropped off so much in like the last 4 laps. The car felt really, really horrible. It was sliding every which way, and it really was not fun to drive. So I had to abandon my attack on Lance Stroll and Alex Albon. We got the gap down to, I think it was about 2 seconds there on lap 30 or 31, but we just couldn't get close enough to get DRS. So yeah, like I said, in the end we had to back off and just consolidate this 8th place. So through the final chicane for the final time. Another really good race from us. It's going to result in an 8th place finish and some more points on the board. Pretty cool.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
Yet another historic win under their belts. Well done to the team at Mercedes. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
Alright, so there we go guys, that has been today's video. Career mode for the Canadian Grand Prix. 4 more points on the board for Spiker. Pretty cool, that I must admit. In the end, we finish in 8th position. Probably the best we could have done, to be fair. I really don't think we actually had the genuine car pace to threaten those Red Bulls. Or Lance Stroll, really, to be honest. I think strategy definitely helped us at the back end of that race. Obviously, having those softs, being able to put in a few qualifying laps to really give ourselves a bit of a gap to the cars behind allowed me to, you know, back everything down there in the final few laps and not have to worry about a threat from behind. But Drivers' Championship, we still remain in 10th place, 32 points next to our name, tied with Danny Kvyat, so that's interesting. We can definitely fight for 7th or 8th in this Drivers' Championship. I do personally believe that that is definitely possible. Lando Norris only on 37 points, so we're only 5 points behind. But anyway, Constructors, I think we were still in 7th or 8th, so that's pretty good. But Rivalry, 4 points in our favour, so we lead Pierre Gasly in the rivalry after the Canadian Grand Prix, 4 points to 2, so pretty good. Team Acclaim, not too far off level 10. We might reach that next episode. We'll have to wait and see there. We complete our 2 sponsorship objectives as well, so that's a nice burst of cash as well. And let's just see what we end up with now. 3.69 million, so that's always nice and handy to have in the back pocket, isn't it? But anyway, we'll head back to the headquarters now, and we've got almost 2 weeks to the French Grand Prix, so we've got some time to fill in some activities. So let's go and have a look-see at what's available. Chassis team building, driver promotion, sponsor, vehicle PR filming, chassis upgrade, weight training for Mick Schumacher. So, what are we going to do here? I think we'll definitely throw weight training in for Mick. We'll go driver promotion as well. We'll go there we go, chassis equipment upgrade. And last but not least, I think we'll go a sponsor fundraiser, will we? I think. Yeah, okay, we do. I recorded this about a week ago, so... well, not a week ago, what am I on about? Probably like 4 days ago or something. So, yeah, my memory's not, you know, the best. But I got a rough idea of everything that happened, and I think I've been pretty on par. So, what we're actually going to do is we're going to go and purchase an upgrade for the quality control for the durability department. So, hopefully that can arrive soon enough and not not fail or anything, as the main reason I've ordered that is I just don't want durability upgrades failing. I'm okay with the odd aero or engine upgrade failure here and there, but durability, it's just something which I just want to be able to buy and just to have it go on the car without any type of problems. So yeah, that's a bit of money that we've thrown over to that department. Trying to keep a little bit left over as well, so we've got enough to re-sign Mick Schumacher, if we re-sign him, that is. But advancing time a little bit now, and I think all of the upgrades and all of the activities have gone on the car, so all looking good.
Okay, we've had the new parts come through from the fabrication process. We'll have them with us for the next Grand Prix.
Okay, that is great news then. So upgrades will be on the car for the French Grand Prix at Le Castellet Paul Ricard. I think, what did we actually have go on the car? I think it was an aero or a chassis upgrade. I've got terrible memory, seriously. That's bad. But anyway, that's it from me today, guys. Hope you've enjoyed another episode of My Team Career Mode. If you've enjoyed, remember to leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Really helps out the channel. Greatly appreciated, as always. But until the next video, the French Grand Prix. Hope everybody is well. Stay safe. And until the next one, I'll catch you all later.